Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Watercolor Instructions with me. So today I'm going to do another cityscape. This one again is near Syracuse. There's a couple of pictures I took during our visit, so I'm going to try to do one of those images again. So what would usually help is to create a rough tonal image. It doesn't have to be lots of details. This is just a small piece of image before I commit to drawing to the paper, just to get where the shadows and what the shadows might look like. So I'm going in, that's the first building, that's the horizon, there's the second building, easy. So there's a lot more details. And the biggest part is why I chose this one is not only does it have strong tones, but also 4 nice umbrellas. So that's number 1, probably a little smaller. 1, 2, 3, and then 4. Okay, and then also that particular plane, so we have a nice menu, and then the whole place is shadow, boxy, clean shadows, and there's a bit more things going on, that's fine, and there's a couple of umbrellas which are closed. This looks like a Christmas tree, and I'll add a few people. So if that one is the eye line, so we're looking at okay. So, and not to forget the tables in the bottom. Maybe there's a couple of people sitting there. There's not lots going on in the afternoon, and there's a couple more people. But so in terms of tone, so the whole thing is a dull tone, and the umbrellas catch a little bit of shadows. The same with this side. And a little more darker. So till there, so a little more maybe I'm going to extend it a little more further, and not to forget the people. So a lot more darker here. This is what I'm trying to attempt. I'm going to minimize the number of chairs or the tables. I'll add a couple more people, and I'm going to keep it quite simple in terms of the design and other things. It's a nice summer day. That's what I'm trying to do. It gives you an idea how I'm planning to approach that. So let's get on to that. Would give me an idea of where the tone's going to go, and we can continue with that one. So in terms of materials, this is a quarter sheet 300 gram Saunders papers. I have an assortment of synthetic and mop brush for washes and other things. I will put in a last slide of all the brushes I have, and also on my right I have a John Pike palette. So I've got about 20 colors. So I've split them yellows and reds and greens and blues and grays. So I don't usually wash them because I can mix it up, and then that's the best gray I can usually get. And for the board is inclined, I've kept 2 cans of old beans. Probably they have expired 7-8 years ago, who knows, but I've just, that's the way. Oh, the camera has moved a little bit. Good that I caught it. And that's the way I'm planning. It's stuck on the other side. And in terms of recording, I use a Blue Yeti mic, just in case you guys are interested in what kind of camera do I use. So first thing is the horizon. Fairly big horizon. So starts with that building, maybe right there, maybe a little lower. I think it goes a little lower. So I'm going to just clean that a little lower. So it comes up somewhere about there, and it goes into the distance. So we have the main design, and we have 3. So 1, 2, and 3. You don't need too many details, but and then there is a home. So there's the triangle. There's that reoccurring design theme, and so I'm going to add a little more details. So over here there's some arches, and there's a balcony which is sticking out. So 1, 2, 3, so the balcony, you can see a little bit of the lower side. Same thing. See a little bit of lower side. Then there's a second set of windows, doors, and there's a big door, and it's got arched windows as well. Can't make out, but there is. And then there is the umbrella. Okay, and that would be my eye line for people. And let's add some details on this side. So roughly there. So we're looking at there, and if we, that's the door. So there's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Okay. It's got small balcony. We can see the sides. I will add the detail in the brush itself, and gate number 7 has a a big arch. That would be the starting point for the umbrella. So the umbrella is about that one, roughly 2, 3, and 4. Okay, so we're nicely getting on. Try to finish some. I'm going to add some more details. There's always connection, and there's a window, and there's another door, and I'm guessing that's it. So there's another window and slightly different height. There's another big loop, and then also there's a loop, and that's the way it goes. If I just add some shadows so that we know what we are working with, that's a nice. Maybe I'm going to extend a little more. The shadows comes all the way till there probably. I need a little room. That's and I can't make out, but that's fine. And just for perspective, I'm gonna add a few lines to let the eyes go in, to know where the eyes gonna go. Okay, it's coming along just fine, and then each door has a parapet, or maybe a little lower. So always do the volume first and then add details. So I'm just trying to check if all the door sizes are similar. Okay, and it's got a thin pillar. So, and then it stops somewhere here. Okay, so that is enough details. And now when it comes to the table, so what I'm going to do is I just need a plane where the coffee table sits. So bear with me for a second. I'm just doing a little bit of perspective so I know that's where all the coffee tables will sit in that particular plane. So slightly angled, but I know the table is going to sit in that particular plane. So when I draw it, I know that's how I'm going to draw. So it's always good to draw, especially when you're drawing a lot of coffee tables or other things. If you don't know, you could randomly draw coffee tables which might not look correct. In this case it looks all right. So it's easy is to draw a plane, that's where the legs will sit, and then you're doing your coffee tables. Let's say even if there's a 2 coffee table, so you do that, everything will sit, and then also make sure that that's back. So you see what I'm saying? it will look correct because the perspective is correct. So that way, that's what I'm trying to do at this stage. I'm just creating a small block so I know where the legs stop and where the people sit. Okay, that's enough. And I'm going to put a couple of people in the background, not too many, because there's not. And over here, there's a guy with a backpack. And okay, and not to forget, there's a little bit of shadow of him, and I'm going to add so guys are chilling, relaxing. I'll pay a little more attention to that person because he's in the foreground. And I'm going to add a few more people just to get, all right, so maybe I'll add a couple more here. And there's okay, so maybe I'll add one more. There is two people, but so this is not looking at details, but just enough so that you know people are going about minding their own business. And one more. Okay, so that would be all the details I'm going to add to this drawing. Let's carry on with the painting. So first layer is the sky. There's very little sky. I'm going to go with cerulean blue. Nothing says Mediterranean summer like cerulean blue. I'm particularly fond, especially when I'm painting really hot weather, I go with cerulean blue. If it's gray or a little cloudy, I go with ultramarine blue or cobalt blue. I like cerulean blue. It's nice, pretty light. There's no clouds. I'm going to keep it that way because I'm just trying to do a simple painting. So fairly thick. It's not loose at all because my kids are sleeping and I don't want to wake them up. So I'm just I don't want to use a hair dryer. So I'm going slightly thick and I'm roughly doing that shape. Okay, that's it. So okay, that's a nice blue tone. I'm going to come in I'm going to just grab, okay, I'm going to come in yellow ochre because most of the buildings are yellow ochre. I'm just going to clean make a small hole in the palette so that I can mix my yellow ochre. I want it to be very light, at least the first layer. So I'm happy with that. So I'm just coming in. If it bleeds a little bit, I'm not worried, but I'm just going to come in. So only attention you need to pay is when you get to the awnings and to the people. So I'm going to come in, watch how I'm creating a knot for the awnings or the umbrellas. I'm going to leave them very wide. Okay. Okay, and I'm going to come in, try to connect them. Okay, I'm gonna switch to a slightly smaller brush so that I have a synthetic brush while I'm trying to keep it very wet. So I'm going pretty quickly here. I don't want to lose that wet. I am coming in being conscious that the table needs to look white. And I'm coming around the people, the table. Okay, so I'm going to take the mop brush again. I'm going to go a little gray. So roughly, I'm not too particular now. I can come in, do little big sweeps. A little bit of yellow ochre, gray. And I'm going to just finish off. Beautiful. So that is the first coat. We got our tables, we got our people, and most importantly, we got our awnings. This one, I botched it a little bit by painting on that, but that's okay. So now, if you forgive me, I'm going to just quickly draw it. I hope the kids don't get up. Okay, so now we can quickly start coming around with the darker tone. Keep going. So a little bit of yellow. I'm going to mix in plenty of second tone. So I'm going to just test it. I want it a little more darker. Yeah, that's fine. All right, so I'm gonna come in, add a little bit of cooler colors. It's always a nice combination to add a little bit of cool, warm and cool. So I'm looking at a little bit of warm, a little bit of cool, adding a little more variety to texture instead of just one plain color. So I'm mixing in a little bit of red, making sure the yarnings and all other things are a little bit of cooler colors. I'm going to come in, finish that. So over here, so that's where that ends. So always use that as a reference in case you forget how we are planning to do it. So the painting, the video is slowly slipping. I'm not sure. All right. I need to keep an eye for the video in case it slips. Okay. Okay. All right. So I'm going to continue. It's a matter of building the painting. Now I'm going to increase the tone. To make it slightly darker. Yellow, got a little bit of burnt sienna. It might look a lot darker, but it gives you a nice contrast. So we are playing with tones here. So okay. I'm going to get a little more dark, continue painting, paying attention to all the objects. So slowly connecting to make sure it's a nice single unity. Or okay, so Coming over here, a bit more from gray, because that is our boundary. Where we're going to finish. That's our shadow limit. And a little more shadow coming from this end. That's it. So let's finish this end. Okay, so now we want to start adding a little more details while this one is getting dry. So I'm going to go fairly little bit of dry brush strokes. So I'm going to come in now. It's a matter of just trying to finish it. So we've already done the big pieces. Now it's time to bring it home. And then there is another layer. There's some antenna or random things going on the top. And so we're trying to too much water. You want it to be a little more dark. Okay. So I'm just adding those details. I'm going to come in. What we should have done is the windows to be white, which it's a mistake on my part. I should have done that window, left that white so that we could have come in and then added that. At the moment I'm going to see what I can do. So I'm just going with 𝐷𝐸𝐴𝐸𝐴 crimson. It's about just adding details, having the patience to finish it. Okay, so almost okay. So the next thing is the balcony. So I'm just using a reservoir pen. They're excellent for adding details. So I'm just going with dark pigment, a little more water so that it can flow. Doesn't have to be a lot of details, but just enough details to know there's a railing. Okay, now we slowly but surely trying to finish. So I'm taking off the pigment. I'm trying to use a dry brush. Okay, and a little bit of shadow under that. Okay, and I'm going to come in and add a little more. Whatever those architecture features are. A little black, so there's some features going on. I'm not sure what it is. And you want to come in. The edge has some design. That's it. So I'm going to go a little bit of burnt umber. It's too flat. I'm just making it a little more. Not 2D. Okay. All right, so we've done other portion. So now we are slowly moving towards adding details. So there is door there. There's a window. At the moment it's all about adding those finer details. So there's a little okay. So adding a lot more details. It goes all the way to the horizon. Don't forget we are trying to connect it to the horizon. Connecting it all the way to the horizon. So there is the last window. Okay, so I'll add a little more boundary to these things. And we're almost complete with that particular building. There was a missing white line here. I missed it, but we carry on. And I'm going to come and finish the awnings now. A little bit of different color, and that's okay. A little more darker on the side. Okay, so that one, same color. It's a bit too dark. I'm gonna okay, so we are almost there. Now if we can start do a little more of the human and other things. Okay, if I put a dress. Okay, I'm gonna come and do the shadows in a minute, but I'm just gonna add a little more. Well, this is a little bit. Okay. There's some stuff going on, not sure what it is, but as long as it feels like there's people standing. Okay, so there's one more lady. Okay, so almost completion. And a light dress, that's fine. Okay, coloring coming up to this guy. So okay, so then last lady, let's give her something summary. Okay. All right, so now it's a matter of adding in some more details like legs and other things to the There's a guy. Let's add another guy in the shadow. Okay, now a little bit of wooden shadow to these tables. And a little bit of shade. Okay, not to mention, let's not forget the shadows. The shadow was a bit too long. I'm going to do a dog. Okay. Okay. So this one, okay. So I'm gonna come in and add a little more highlights. Now I think most of the drawing is complete. Now what we are trying to finish is this side of the building. So some design elements. So just continuing the brickwork on the side. And there's a little bit of brickwork on this building as well. Okay, so continuing with the line. Okay, circle, circle. There's something going on. A triangle. There's something going on. There's a triangle. And this small piece is important. I should have kept it a little more wide. I'm just going to wet that and then see if I can lift that one. Yeah, that is important. And I'm going to just make that a bit darker. So continuing, adding details. So not a lot of details needed, but you still add enough details. What I should have, as I said, so rig a pen, add the railings. So I'm going to be a little more careful in this one because it's got a nice shape to it. So I'm going to come in, pay attention, add those details, pay attention, pay attention, pay attention. You can see the underside, and then pay attention to that one as well. Okay. So over here, so you can see the shadow. You can see a little more shadow. Okay, and so always remember that's the horizon. And a little more of the railing in the bottom as well. Not to mention there's a little more the window in the back. And not to forget, add the stems. Okay, now let's add a little more details, or just a little bit of whites, places where we have missed. So I'm just taking it right out of the tube. Okay, we'll just come in, make that a little light. We should have left that thing empty, so that we would just have to fill in the negative. So that one is okay. Okay, so over the shoulder, the bit of color. Same thing over the shoulder. The dog, people. Although somebody is sitting inside, I'm going to just cheat it by adding a little light. That builds a little more interesting story. Okay, so what we haven't done is that side. So there's a ball, and let's add another ball on this side. All right, so we're coming in, adding 3 massive lights, and I'm just connecting that. So what I'm going to just darken, add a little more stuff going on in this area, so that I know that's where the building ends. And I'm going to come in, make a little more dark. Sort of a secondary shadow. And also some stuff going on in the back over here. Oh, the last but not least, I've missed that particular pole. And the very last thing I generally like to do is add a little more perspective lines, just to give know where the perspectives are. And the last, I'm going to come in some shadow. In the front, because that one felt it was too empty. That is how I'm going to conclude this painting.